We begin our journey to Ellis Island, not in New York, but in the North German port city of Hamburg. It was from here that huge numbers of people left Europe for a new life in America. In fact, between 1850 and 1939, more than 5 million people, many of them escaping persecution in Eastern Europe, boarded ships in Hamburg and crossed the Atlantic.
Let us turn back to a steamship agent's office in a European port a half-century ago. Most of those seeking passage to America are farmers and peasants, like this family from Eastern Europe. Behind them lie years of labor on land that could never be theirs.
They boarded the steamships with all their possessions for a voyage which could take more than a week to cross the ocean, often in stormy weather. Conditions varied as there were 3 classes of accommodation on board: first, second, and steerage. Only steerage passengers, the poorest, were required to land on Ellis Island. First and second class passengers were quickly inspected on board ship and could then land directly in New York. Today, Ellis Island is a national monument and is reached by ferry from Battery Park on the southern tip of Manhattan. Here the immigrants disembarked. They could see New York, but still had many procedures to go through before setting foot in the city. Give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses yearning to be free. These words come from a poem written to celebrate the construction of the Statue of Liberty. Ellis Island is visited by over 3 million people every year. The registry room was the first stop for the immigrants. Up to 5,000 people a day were registered in this vast room by the Immigration Service. People were treated with kindness, but overcrowding was certainly a problem. There were 2 dormitory rooms, each of which could accommodate 300 people in triple-tiered bunk beds. The medical examination was the most anxious time for the new immigrant. Public servants did all they could to help the new arrivals, most of whom, of course, could not speak English. They helped to find them jobs and, in many cases, to read and write. Once the formalities were over, they could go to New York and start a new life. The History Center enables anyone to trace their ancestors who arrived at Ellis Island. Now we are back in Hamburg, at the BallinStadt Emigration Museum, which opened in 2007 and has become one of the most popular museums in the city. It is dedicated to all those millions of people who left Hamburg for new lives all over the world. There are photographs and shipping records. There is also a computer center, similar to the one on Ellis Island, where people can trace relatives who left Hamburg a long time ago. One poster shows what was taken on board a steamship apart from just people. After all, a 7-day crossing required a lot of planning and a lot of food.
My name is Helena Clausen Miller, and I grew up in Australia. And I thought that our heritage was Danish, but now I'm realizing that my great-grandfather came from this area to Australia. And so therefore my origins are German, which is really pleasing for me. I wouldn't mind being Danish or Dutch, but this is just another twist to my heritage. So I decided it's time to find great-grandfather.
That's wonderful.
Yes, so I'm really, really, really pleased. It's a happy day for me.
Did you expect to find him?
I hoped I would.
That's fine.
Yeah, same. I'm the same. I've never seen a photo of him, ever. I don't know. That I would have liked.